Hello students. So this is our video number part 3. So in the previous video, in the part 2 video, we have learnt about Rutherford's atomic model. So in today's video, first we will discuss about the drawbacks or the limitations of Rutherford's atomic model. Okay, so let's come to the board. So there are basically 3 drawbacks or 3 limitations. Okay, so the first one is instability. Instability of atom. Okay, so I think you can remember that in Rutherford's model we have learnt there that the atoms are quite stable because of the presence of two type of opposite forces. One is what? That is electrostatic force of attraction that was working there inside or inward towards the nucleus. Okay, that helps to bind the electrons in the atom. And another one was the centrifugal force that was working outside. So that two types of forces counterbalance each other and make that atom extremely stable, that we have learned in the Rutherford's atomic model. But now the first point is instability. So if we look into electromagnetic theory of Maxwell, okay, so Maxwell, according to electromagnetic theory, any type of charged particle, that means any particle which has charge, may it be positive or negative, okay, so whenever it gets accelerated, okay, acceleration means that increase in the velocity or increase in the speed with respect to time. So whenever any charged particle gets accelerated, then it continuously loses its energy. Clear? So if we consider in this case the electrons are charged particles because electrons carry negative charge, and now whenever the electrons are rotating around the nucleus in circular path or in circular orbits, then continuously the electrons are changing their directions. Okay, that means the electrons are getting accelerated also. So in this case, according to or as per the electromagnetic theory, the electrons should lose their energy continuously, and if it happens, then what will happen there? Continuously electrons will lose its energy, and at a time it will go closer to the nucleus, okay, and at a certain time whenever it comes very close to the nucleus, then due to the electrostatic force of attraction of the nucleus, it will fall on the nucleus. Okay, so then this type of structure will not be stable anymore, because if the electron comes and falls on the nucleus, then there is no existence or there is no stability of such circular path or circular orbit. So the first point, the first drawback is instability of atom. Clear this one? Okay. Now the next point, the next drawback is discontinuous spectrum. Okay, so now again coming to electromagnetic theory of radiation. So according to the electromagnetic theory, the charged particles that are electrons, they are continuously losing its energy or they are continuously emitting or radiating its energy. So as it is continuously emitting radiations or emitting energy, so therefore we could expect a continuous spectrum, because the energy is coming out from electrons continuously. So we could expect a continuous spectrum, but actually experimentally the atoms normally show discontinuous spectrum or line spectrum, where we could see these types of lines. Okay, so it is not continuous, so that means this atomic model could not explain the discontinuous spectrum, because according to this model the spectrum should be continuous, but that is not right, because we could experimentally observe a discontinuous spectrum. So this point is also a drawback of Rutherford's model. Now the point number 3, that in Rutherford's atomic model we have learnt only that electrons are present outside the nucleus in circular paths or in circular orbits, but there is no discussion about the arrangement of the electrons, that how many electrons are present in the first orbit, in the second orbit. No such discussions were there, as well as what will be the energy of the orbits, what are the radius of the circular path or circular orbits. No such things has been discussed in Rutherford's atomic model. So that thing is not clear. The atomic model is not clear from Rutherford's atomic model. So all of these are the drawbacks of Rutherford's atomic model. Clear this one? Okay. Now the next thing we are going into, that is different properties of the atom. Okay, so we could see different types of atoms. So how could we distinguish different types of atoms from each other? So the main thing, the main property of atom by which we could distinguish them is mass number, denoted by capital A. Already you have learned these things in class 10. Okay. So what is mass number? I think maximum of you know the answer, that the total number of protons and the total number of neutrons, which together is called nucleon. Okay. So the total number of neutrons and the total number of protons present inside the nucleus of an atom is known as mass number. So we could write it like this: A is equal to number of protons P plus number of neutrons N. So A is equal to P plus N. So this contains, or this makes the total mass number of the atom. Now if we want to calculate the number of neutrons, so that will be A minus P. Okay. Just like one example, suppose chlorine. Okay. So this is called a nuclide. So what is a nuclide? A nuclide is the representation of an atom by using its symbol and by using the proton number along with the mass number. Okay. So here that is written at the subscript, that is the proton number or the electron number. As we know that the total number of protons inside the nucleus will be equal to the total number of electrons outside the nucleus. So we could write here that proton number is 17, electron number is also 17. Now here above the number that is written, that is actually the mass number. So mass number A is equal to 35. Now the neutron number you can easily calculate from here. So N is equal to A minus P, that is 35 minus 17. So what will be the answer? Yes, the answer will be 18. Okay. So for any types of atom, by using the nuclide we can calculate the total number of neutrons, or we can use total number, we can calculate from here mass number, we can calculate proton number or neutron number, anything that will be given in the question. According to the question you have to calculate the values. Okay. Okay. Now next, now as we have already discussed nuclide, so now the nuclides can be of various types depending on the number of protons number of electrons and number of neutrons. Okay, so nuclides can be of three types mainly. The first one is isotope. Okay, number 2 isotone, and number 3 isobar. So depending on the number of protons, depending on the number of neutrons, and also the mass number, we could differentiate between them. Okay, so first come to the first one, that is isotope. So in case of isotope, what is isotope? Isotopes are actually the atoms of same element. Okay, the atoms of same element where the proton number will be same but the mass number will be different. Clear? The proton number will be same but the mass number will be different. So why the mass number is different? Because the neutron number will be different there. Just come to an example. Suppose chlorine. Chlorine shows two isotopes. One is Cl 17-35, another one is Cl 17-37. So it is clearly visible that for both of them the number of proton, that is same here. Okay, that is 17, but their mass numbers are different. For the first one it is 35 and for the second one it is 37. So if you calculate the number of neutrons, so for the first one it will be 18 and for the second one it will be 20. Okay, so due to different neutron numbers, due to different numbers of neutron present inside the nucleus, their mass numbers are different. So how to remember this easily? So here just notice the name isotope. So a P is present here. Okay, so you could remember that what thing will be same here, that P for proton. So for two atoms here the proton number will be same. Okay, proton number will be same. That means atomic number. Atomic number is also known as the proton number. So for two atoms the atomic number will be same. Okay, so there will be different mass number depending on their neutron number. And also one thing, if their atomic numbers are same, atomic numbers are just like roll numbers. Suppose in your class all of you have different roll numbers, right? And a particular roll number represents a particular student. Clear? Similarly, a particular atomic number signifies or denotes a particular atom. So 17 means which element? Chlorine. So 17, whenever the atomic number is same for them, that means they are representing the atoms of same element and both of them are chlorine. Okay, so for P, for isotope, which number will be same for them? Right, P for proton, so the proton number will be same. Similarly, come to the next one. Here isotone containing N for neutron. So for both the elements, for both the atoms, which number will be same? Neutron number will be same, and the other things, that is the proton number and the mass number will be different. Okay, so just two examples. Argon 18-38 and chlorine 17-37. One is argon 18-38 and chlorine 17-37. So just observe it carefully that for both of them the atomic numbers are different, and for this reason the atoms are different. Okay, and their mass numbers are also different. So only the neutron number will be same. So for the first one, what will be the neutron number? 38 minus 18, that means 20. And for the second one, the neutron number will be 37 minus 17, that is 20. Right? So for both of them, the neutron number will be same. and for them the proton number will be same. Now for the third one, that is isobar. So for the isobar, what will be the same here? That is the atomic mass. Okay. So if you consider this, that is atomic mass or the mass number. The mass number will be same for both of them. So if we take two examples, there the mass number will be same. That is argon 18 to 40. These two are two isotopes of argon. Okay, one 18 to 40 and 18 to 38. So argon 18 to 40. Another one calcium 20 to 40. Okay. So argon having atomic number 18, mass number 40, and calcium having atomic number 20, mass number 40. So for both of them the mass numbers are same. That means they are the examples of isobar. Okay. So I hope that it is very clear now to you all that which things are same for them. For isotope, proton numbers will be same. For isotone, neutron numbers will be same, and for isobar, A or atomic mass, that means the mass number will be same for them. Okay. So these are the three types of nuclides. Okay. Okay. Now next. Okay, now next topic we are going, that is the wave nature of electromagnetic radiation. So why we need to discuss this one, the wave nature of electromagnetic radiation? Because that we have found several limitations, or we have found several drawbacks in Rutherford's model. So after that, scientists they thought it necessary to find out the reasons of these drawbacks. Okay, the reasons of these failures. So for that purpose, they needed to look into different types of experiments that are concerning with the atomic spectra, or that are concerning the electromagnetic radiations. Okay, so first of all we have to know that what is radiation. After that we will go into electromagnetic radiation. So radiation means what? Radiation means just that is related to the transfer of energy or the transmission of energy. So whenever the energy that is transferring or that is transmitting from one body to another body, okay, from one body to another body in different types or in different forms. As we have learned that energy can be present in various forms. So the energy could be transferred in various forms, but there should be the transfer of energy from one body to another body in form of waves. Okay, in form of waves. So then, and that should be a continuous transfer of energy. So this is called radiation. Okay, this is called radiation, and all the energies that could be transferred from one body to another body in form of wave are called radiant energy. Okay, so various energies we could see that are examples of radiant energy, just like the light. Okay, light is also one example of radiant energy, as well as many examples are there like cosmic rays, gamma rays, X-rays, UV rays. Okay, these all are the examples of radiant energy. So first of all, this radiant energy, whenever they are transferring from one body to another body, they are going in the form of waves. So first of all, we have to know about different properties of the waves, or we have to know about the waves. Okay, so just like waves, okay, so this is the form of the wave. So wave means actually what? that various particles that are present here that are vibrating in different magnitudes, okay, and that are making this type of wave, just like the ripples in the water. Whenever we are striking the water with a stone, or whenever we are just throwing a stone in the water, then we could see the formation of ripples. So ripples are nothing but the wave that are forming by the vibration of the particles that are present here. So not we are going about the particles, we are just considering, we are just focusing on the wave part here, okay. Electromagnetic radiation have two properties. First one is wave and second one is particle. So here wave nature we are focusing. So just like a wave, it is moving here. So different properties of waves are there. Already you have learned in the previous class. So the first one is that wavelength. So what is wavelength? So here in this wave we could see here that in the positive part, okay, these heights, the maximum heights, these are called crest, okay. The maximum, the peak positions of this curve, these are called crest, and in the lower portion the minimum point, that we are getting here, these are called troughs. So we could easily define wavelength as the distance between two crests, okay, the distance between two crests or the distance between two troughs, that is known as the wavelength, okay. Or also you can relate it like this, that if this is a complete wave, okay, the structure like S, one is having a crest, another one is having a trough. So the complete distance that is covering by one positive part and one negative part, this total distance is called a wavelength. So in various way we could explain the definition. So wavelength is denoted by lambda, okay. So this is lambda, this is also lambda, and as it is denoting or as it is explaining a distance, so that means the unit will be centimeter or meter. So that is wavelength. Number 2 is that amplitude. What is amplitude? Amplitude is the highest distance, that is the magnitude, for the highest distance, okay, or the peak position. This is called the amplitude, that is the amplitude. This is in the negative side, okay. So amplitude is denoted by A, and again as it is denoting a distance, so therefore the unit will be here the units are mainly nanometer or angstrom, okay. Centimeter and meter are used for larger scales, but here we will use nanometer or angstrom for very smaller scales, okay. So here the amplitude we could use here also the shorter scale for the distances, okay. Next one, number 3, that is frequency, okay. So what could be the frequency? So frequency could be the number of cycles, just like this S, okay. If we consider it as one cycle, then the number of cycles, the number of S-like structures it is forming per unit time, per unit second, per unit hour, whatever the unit is, the number of cycles it is forming per unit time, it is called frequency, okay. If it is creating here, suppose if the total time it is taking is 1 second, and if it is creating 2 total cycles, then the frequency will be 2. If it is creating 3 complete cycles, then the frequency is 3, just like, okay. So frequency is denoted by nu. Frequency is denoted by nu. Okay, now next one, number 4, velocity, denoted by c. So velocity is the distance traveled by the wave, okay, along the x-axis in per unit time, okay. The total distance covered by the wave per unit time, that is called velocity, and that is denoted by c. So it could be written like this: c is equals to nu into lambda, okay, because nu is the number of cycles formed per unit time and lambda is the length per cycle, okay. So total number of waves and the length for one cycle. The length for one cycle is lambda, okay, and how many cycles are forming here? 2. So what will be the total distance? Lambda plus lambda, that means 2 lambda. If 3 cycles are formed, then lambda plus lambda plus lambda, 3 lambda, just like this. This is the number of cycle and this is the distance covered by one cycle. Clear? Okay. Now the next one is number 5, that is wave number. So wave number is actually the number of waves that is forming. Wave number denoted by nu bar is equal to 1 by lambda, okay. So lambda is the wavelength. So per wavelength, so the distance of one wavelength, okay, in this distance, in this measurement, the number of waves formed is known as wave number. So wave number could be got by dividing 1 with lambda or by wavelength, okay. So these are the 5 properties of the waves, okay. Now the next one, next we are discussing about electromagnetic wave theory. Okay, electromagnetic wave theory given by Maxwell. So I am just discussing. So there are mainly 5 points, okay. The first point is that I have already discussed today, that any body that is transferring or that is transmitting the energy continuously, okay, and in the form of wave, or energy is transmitted from one body to another body in the form of wave continuously, okay. That is the first point. Now the second point is that why these radiations are being called electromagnetic, okay. Why we are calling this electromagnetic? Because these waves that are formed here, that is actually a result of that is actually formed with the assimilation of electric field and magnetic field. Suppose this is the electric field here, this is the wave that is observed in the electric field. Now in case of magnetic field, when we are applying the magnetic field, then the wave we could see in a direction that is 90 degree, that is in 90 degree angle with this one. So that would be like this, okay. Just both of are having the plane in an angle 90 degree, okay. This one and this one, that are having an angle 90 degree between them. Not only that, both this field, one is electric field and another one is magnetic field. Both of them are perpendicular to each other. Not only that, both of them are perpendicular to the direction of the wave also. The wave is propagating in this direction, okay. So both these fields are in 90 degree angle or are in perpendicular direction to that of the to that of the direction of the wave, okay. So that is the second point. And due to the assimilation of both electric field and magnetic field, this type of radiation obtained is known as electromagnetic radiation. Clear? Next one, point number 3, that electromagnetic radiations do not require any space for their propagation. They do not require any medium, okay. Any medium like air, water, any medium is not required by electromagnetic radiations to propagate or to travel. and that's why the light can travel through space also. The light of the sun we are getting in our earth through the space, that is traveling through the space. That is the reason that light is also a electromagnetic radiation. Okay. So now the point number 4. So point number 4 is that there are different types of electromagnetic radiations, and different electromagnetic radiations have different wavelength as well as different frequency, depending on which their energies are different and their colors are different. As we know that color of any light depends on its frequency and wavelength also. So as the wavelengths and frequencies are different for them, so their color will also be different. Okay. So these are, and another point, the electromagnetic radiations are having the velocity just like that of light. Light is having the velocity 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second, and all the electromagnetic radiations also are having the same velocity. Okay. Okay, and the last one, that is electromagnetic spectrum. So electromagnetic spectrum is what? So if we arrange these different types of electromagnetic radiations, as I have told that we can observe various types of electromagnetic waves or radiations as per their wavelength. So if we could arrange them according to their wavelength or according to their frequency, then the spectrum that is obtained is called electromagnetic spectrum. Okay. So just look into the board. So the first one is, so now I am arranging them in increasing order of wavelength. Increasing order of lambda. Okay. So the first type of electromagnetic light that is having the lowest wavelength is cosmic ray. Okay, you have to remember this chart. Next one is, after cosmic ray there is gamma. Gamma ray. Okay. After that X-ray, then UV ray. After that coming the visible range. Only this range of wavelength, this range of frequency our eyes can catch. So only we can see this range, and that's why it is called visible range. Okay. So after visible there is infrared, or in short IR. Okay. After that microwaves, then radio waves. Okay. So from left to right the wavelength values are gradually increasing. Okay. And just the opposite of frequency. When lambda is increasing in this side, that means frequency is decreasing in this side, because we know that there is a opposite relation between C is equal to what? Nu into lambda. This is frequency and this is wavelength. So if the C is constant here, then C divided by lambda, C divided by nu is equals to lambda, or we can conclude lambda is inversely proportional to nu. Right? Lambda or wavelength is inversely proportional to frequency. That means whenever the wavelengths are increasing in this order, the frequency will be decreasing in this order. So the radio waves is having the lowest frequency, okay, but highest wavelength, and here the cosmic rays, they are having the lowest wavelength but highest frequency. Okay. And the last one for today, that is the visible range of light. The visible range of light is, that already you have learned, VGL. Okay. And the range is from 380 nanometer to 760 nanometer. This is the wavelength value. Okay. So the wavelength is increasing in this order. The light, the color of lowest wavelength is violet, as well as it is having the highest frequency. Okay. Highest frequency, lowest wavelength violet, and red is the color that is having the highest wavelength and lowest frequency. So this is the visible range of light. Okay. So this is our today's class. So in the next class we will learn more about the particle nature of electromagnetic radiations. Okay, I think all of you have understood this well. So we will meet again on our next class. Till then, take care. Have a good day.